All right, in Goal 1-6, we are changing word phrases into mathematical expressions. I start by giving you a list of words or word phrases that represent our different operations. So addition has sum, increased by more than, greater than, etc. Subtraction, difference, decreased by less than, etc. Multiplication has product, multiplied by, times of, and twice. Do I have anything below that? No. And then division, there's not a lot. Quotient, and then divided by or divided among. Most of these are common sense. I don't hardly ever see anybody, when they see the words added to, put a subtraction sign. Or when they says divided by, put a multiplication sign. So most of the words or word phrases are pretty obvious. However, these top ones, those are the ones that people miss if they miss them. Because they don't know which is which. They don't know that sum is addition, difference is subtraction, product is multiplication, and quotient is division. So those are the key words that I would make sure you do know. The rest of them, pretty obvious. Okay? All right, first one. X more than 3. Now, mathematically speaking, it exactly says this. When it says x more than, that actually means you're adding x to something. And what are we adding it to? We're adding it to 3. Because addition is commutative, I would also accept x plus 3. But specifically, when it says more than, that means it comes second. Okay? But either one's good. All right, product means you're multiplying. The product of 7 and a number, I use x all the time. If I don't tell you what letter, you can use whatever letter you want. Okay? 7 and a number. Product of 7 and a number. 7 times x. Don't use an x for the times symbol, because that will be really confusing. It'll look like 7xx, which is not right, then I would mark it wrong. Use that dot. You would not necessarily need to put the times symbol there, because when you place a number and a variable right next to each other, it indicates multiplication anyway. Okay? T divided by 6. Wow, that's one of those obvious ones. Okay, I do like to write mine as a fraction, because when you start doing word problems with division, you want it as a fraction. You don't want it with a division symbol. But right now, because it doesn't matter, I would accept that. Whatever they tell you first, like T here, goes first or goes on top. All right, 4 times a number, so 4 times whatever letter you like, 4 times a number, plus, and again, people don't mess that up. If it's plus, it's a plus. 11. But again, you don't have to have the times symbol there. And if you wrote it as 11 plus 4x, that would be acceptable. X squared minus 8. X squared, that's knowing that that means to the second power. X to the second power minus, so subtract 8. The quotient of 27 and x. Like the previous one, I like to write as a fraction, but it doesn't have to be. So either one of those is acceptable. Here's my most commonly missed one, because there's only one way to write it. 9 less than means I am subtracting 9. It comes second. You cannot write that first. okay? Because subtraction is not commutative, it doesn't work backwards. So 9 less than means take 9 away from what? Twice x. Twice, we go back to our list, means to multiply. Specifically, it means to multiply by 2, to double it. So 2x minus 9. 9 less than, 9 fewer than. All that means to take 9 away from something. And I already wrote myself a note that this next example is kind of a bad one, but we're going to go through it anyway. Because there's really like 2 ways you could read this. 2/3 of a number x cubed. So my of here means my multiplication. So 2/3 of a number x cubed. So that is one way to read it, or just 2/3 x cubed. But I can also see how you might read it like this. And maybe you didn't think this at all, but it really could be read like that too. 2/3 of a number x, pause, cubed. Okay? And those are not equal. 2/3 times x cubed without parentheses and 2/3 x cubed with parentheses are not the same thing. So that question really is not worded well. As we went through it yesterday, I realized that. So I've already made myself a note. This is not a good question. Okay. If I were to give something like this on an assessment and I saw both of these answers, I would have accepted both of them. Okay. Because it depends how you read it, what you're going to do. So I will try to stay away from questions like that that have 2 different interpretations. Okay. I will try really hard not to do that. Okay, some questions on that. That shouldn't be too difficult for you. The one I starred, most commonly missed by far, all the time. Okay?